Hello everybody, welcome back to Path of Nostalgia. This episode we are looking at the Parishes from 1978. Or is it 1979? Who knows? So the Parishes. For people in Britain, I think for the older generation actually, the Parishes are so well-known comic strip characters. They had their own comic strip in the newspapers, obviously, I think around since the late 50s, early 60s, something like that. They've been around for quite a bit and they're still being published today actually, which is quite surprising. And I was quite surprised that there was a television show based on them from, sort of the late 70s, early 80s, I think, obviously. Well, I said 78, 79, so, yeah, but I think it was more successful in the 80s, I think, I would say. My knowledge of the Parishes is very nil, actually. I wasn't too sure. I was aware of them in the comics, the newspapers, obviously, with the little comic strips. I wasn't aware there was a TV show based on the Parishes. I mean, the only thing I can remember sort of related, well, that was not, well, obviously, I think it was, well, it's not the Parishes I was thinking about. It's another show. There was a film actually that was sort of similar. I can't remember. It's an American show, American film. I forgot what it was. It's quite similar to this, but that's coming to my head. Well, the Parishes. So I was sort of aware of them in the newspaper comic strips, of course, and never knew there's a TV show based on them. It's animation, and it's British, actually. It's a British animation done. One sort of key figure I can remember who was one of the voice actors who was in it was Peter Hawkins. Peter Hawkins obviously was one of the original voice actors for the Daleks, of course, in Doctor Who, in the classic era of Doctor Who, of course. It was in the 60s, He was quite relevant. He did a few other TV shows, of course, which I'll be covering as well. I think one obvious one will be coming soon. And he sort of among a few others, which I'm very unfamiliar with. The design of the Parishes is actually pretty good. It's like it reminds me of the Charlie Brown, if you know what I mean. It's got that Charlie Brown feel to it, which I think I do find it quite interesting because, I was thinking, do they exist in the same world? I don't know, really. Obviously, another interesting thing about this was it was done by the original Parishes was done by Castle Vision, though, because I'm aware of this of the company Castle Vision, of course. Was it Castle Communications? It's the full company. I never really seen anything advertised of the Parishes at all. The only ones I can remember were the Rag Dolls, and another show that I was quite unsure about was something called Tumbledown Farm, which to be honest, is never going to be reviewed on here at all. Shockingly, if anyone loves that, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to review Tumbledown Farm. And some other documentaries and stuff, and a TV show which I've always had strong memories on. It's my personal favourite is coming on soon. Some people will know what that is. But nothing was never really advertised for the Parishes. And I also looked into the episodes of this, and I can see why. Because it's obviously Tumbledown Farm, Raggy Dolls, they have come out from the 80s period. This came out in the late 70s, and you could definitely see the animation, of course. It's not bad animation, I do have to admit, it's not bad. But some of the voiceover work's a bit iffy, if you mean. The audio of it is a bit. It has this a little bit of distortion of it, which I find quite. Is it in mono? Is that in mono, or is it... I don't know, actually. It's pretty obscure. I mean, if you want to listen to the voice, I could hear like a distortion with the microphone. If they're shouting loudly, it's pretty unsure, really unsure. I don't know, but I find something off-putting about it a bit. The voiceover is just off-putting. Animation's pretty good. It's sort of like, it does replicate a little bit of the comic strip very much, which is quite nicely done. Characters themselves nicely drawn out, which is good. The theme, not the best. It's not the best theme, I have to admit. I mean, it sort of opens like some like Hanna-Barbera cartoon, very much. But overall, it's okay, I do have to admit. That's it, really, to do with the parishes. This is just a short video of like my understanding. I've only known about the parishes through the comic, through the newspaper strips that it's originally from. That's how it's recognizable, easily recognizable. But TV show, not bad adaptation. I do have to admit. Obviously animation's done nicely. Voiceover, it's a bit crap. I do have to admit, it's a bit questionable, I would say. Theme tune, yeah. And obviously the advertisement, I would definitely think it should have been included, if you know what I mean, rather than being put to one side, and just being left alone. Even though it might have been brought out earlier than that, I think. So it could be. Well, mind you, some of them were brought out earlier. Forget it. Anyway, I've been talking about the parishes from 1978 or 1979, depending when it was broadcast. I think it's 1979, I think it is from, but some people might question me, it's 1978. Okay, I'll stop there. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.